Hey everybody, this is Tom at Talon Guitar Works, and today we're going to chime in on the tone wood argument. And for everybody that says tone wood doesn't matter, but says, oh, the 59 burst is a real thing, raise your hand. Okay, you're arguing with yourself at this point. Um, I went over this before. Paul Reed Smith just did another video from Chicago Music. Several other people chimed in about the tone wood debate. And there's a lot of misleading information that's out on the internet. And I went and looked up as much stuff as I could. And I heard that we can't reproduce, we can't make the 59 burst because it was made from centuries old Honduran mahogany, which isn't true. The oldest living mahogany tree was 250 years, and I think it was African and not Honduran. Now, is it possible it can live for centuries? Yeah, and that's what they kind of bill it as. They go, it was centuries old mahogany, and it's much heavier and denser than Filipino plantation mahogany they use now. Stop. First, Honduran mahogany is still readily available. You could buy it from Stumac. Second, African mahogany has the exact same density as Honduran mahogany or Cuban mahogany. There is mahogany that grows in the state of Florida. There is Spanish mahogany, and I'm not sure if it grows in Spain or if it's just a name for the mahogany and that's what's in the Philippines. But all of them are about 850 on the density scale. So, 650 to 850, it's all in the same ballpark. You're not going to say that the mahogany back was it. The next item was the argument of, well, they used Eastern maple, which was much easier to carve and is much harder than Western maple. Well, it is true it's harder than Western maple. I don't know anybody that uses Western maple for anything. Everybody uses Eastern maple. So it's still available. It's still out there. Then they say, well, you're using PVA glue, which is polyvinyl adhesive, versus hide glue. And people will sit there and go, you could get Titebond hide glue at Home Depot. You can get a version of hide glue at Home Depot. Hide glue was made in a pot that had to be heated, and the dry animal parts were put in there and heated up. And hide glue can go bad, just like anything else can go bad over time. So can you use the new hide glue like the old hide glue? You'll find out that if there's a lot of humidity when you go and lay up that hide glue and clamp it up, that it could fracture along that seam. And people will talk about, well, the hide glue actually pulls the neck tighter into the pocket because of the capillary effect of the glue. All glue has capillary effects. Now, a good friend of mine, Matt over at Texas Toast, says wood doesn't breathe. He's right, it doesn't. But if you take water and you wipe it on raw wood, it will open the grain up of the wood again. And the cells themselves will get more of a roundish shape than a collapsed shape as they compress and decay. Wood does not breathe. So I do know this, a properly glued joint, be it PVA glue or hide glue, will not fracture on the joint line if put under stress. It will break the wood left or right of the joint line before it'll break the actual glue line. I have had hide glue because I had to rush out and get hide glue in a hide glue pot, and I had to put a fretboard on with hide glue, and when I started to adjust the truss rod like a week later, the fretboard went boing, came off nice and clean. And the hide glue is crystalline, and it does vibrate a little bit more, but how much more is it vibrating? I'm not really sure. Now, most of the time when people talk about wood species and what's good and what's bad, it's not the old growth wood they're talking about. What they're talking about is guitar manufacturers that use wood with too high of a moisture level to assemble a guitar, and then problems occur as the guitar dries and the wood settles into its preferred position, for lack of a better term. The wood relaxes into that shape that it wants to be in. Uh, with people trying to build stuff rapidly, this happens. Paul Reed Smith says that he dries all this stuff. He kiln dries it. He's got his own kilns. Several companies do. Framus has got kilns. All of them dry it. So, and now there's a big thing about you have to roast it. It's got to be roasted. It's got to be torrefied before you can use it. Now, it actually doesn't. It just has to have a moisture content below 12%. You know, and preferably around 8%, I think, is the magic number. So that's where you're looking. And, you know, the high glue absorbs into wood. All glue has capillary effect into wood. And it's a covalent bond, a mechanical bond, and an adhesive bond. There, my science teacher from back in junior high school, I hope you're happy having heard me repeat those words that I heard in your class. I am no longer indebted to you. So, they talk about the nitrocellulose lacquer finish that was done on the Les Paul in the 59s. People still shoot lacquer, you know, nitrocellulose lacquer. You still have guitars that check. Most of the modern paint jobs, though, don't check. And I've seen hundreds of examples of guitars that they said nitrocellulose, and you take a little bit of acetone someplace where nobody can see and touch it, and yes, it is a lacquer, a nitrocellulose lacquer that's on the guitar body. The nitrocellulose has changed over time, but I don't, you know, people say, well, it's thin. I know guys that get super thin urethane, and I didn't say poly, I said urethane finishes on their guitars. And I know a guy, Texas Toast, Matt, again, is doing their, 73 finish, 53. Excuse me, Matt, I'm sorry. They do a really nice satin finish. It's thin, hard, and it looks old school, and it's really cool. You should check those guys out. All right. The long neck tenon. They can go back and do a long neck tenon again. And going backwards for a second. When we talked about the carvability of the Eastern maple versus the Western maple, a CNC machine doesn't care. A copy carver doesn't care how hard it is or soft it is to carve the wood. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the carbs on there no matter what. This isn't Geppetto making Pinocchio with a chisel. This is a CNC production that's going on. They talk about the high glue to the fretboard, to the neck, as well as glue to the neck itself, to the body, the C-shaped profile. Now, I talk about neck profiles, and I stress that your neck profile should be the number one thing you look at when you go to purchase your guitar. If the guitar is comfortable for you to play, and you could play it longer, that's the profile you want, with the nut width, the fretboard width, the shape of the neck. The old one had the C-shaped neck, the 59, and most guitars in the world have a C-shaped profile. And it says, oh, they were all hand carved, so there were small variations in neck. Of course there were, if they were hand carved. But if they got all the small variations that were good and they plugged them into the CNC machine, once again, they could reproduce that neck. They talked about the shoulders. They talk about the distance under the first fret and the 12th fret. And these are all constants that still get done on guitar setups. Nothing new there. Fretboard radius was 12 inches, and inlays were tiny made cellulose. I don't think inlays have any impact whatsoever on the way a guitar sounds. Sorry, just me. You know, once again, you're breaking up a piece of wood even more from the segmenting of the fret slots to add more inlays to it and prevent the transfer of sound across its surface. So, that 1/10 of an inch thick fret wire. You can get jumbo fret wire still. the hardware, they talk about the two-pneumatic bridge and the no-wire ABR1, and they talk about uh, the scale length. Oh my God, that scale length. And they said that it was supposed to be 24 and 12/16. Now, okay, well, isn't that 24 and 3/4 in regular math years? I'm just saying. Oh, junior high school math teacher, I was paying attention to that part too. All right, so you could recreate any scale length. STUMAC has got a scale calculator, or you can go by the rule of 18s. And if you look that up, it tells you exactly how to measure out a fretboard just using math and a sharp pencil and a quick mind. And you could do it. They talk about the studs that were in the guitar, and now we get into the really interesting part that drives me crazy. It's the PAF pickups. Seth Lover designed the PAF pickups. Seth Lover later on went to work for Fender and later on opened his own business making pickups. Seth Lover could recreate the pickups he made for the 59 Les Paul. Those pickups are out there. Oh, we can't get the magnets, or we can't get the pots, or we can't get this, or we can't get the wire, because the wire was 42 AWG, but it was purple. They dyed it. Stop with the nonsense of this. And the Alnico A5 magnets, excuse me. They talk about the hand wiring and the scatter winding and everything else. Gibson had a Lasora fret machine that was automated. It broke down often. The people that worked there had to jump in and line pickups. But come on, man. Kiesel's got a sign in their electronics room that says it's math, not magic. And it is. Physics definitely applies here. So that's what we've got with the 59. Now, famous people that played the 59. Now I want you to pay attention closely. Keith Richards had a 59. Keith Richards gave his 59 bars to Mick Taylor. Joe Walsh had a 59 first. Joe Walsh gave, didn't sell, neither one, his 59 to Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page played that in addition to a Strat, a Tele, a double neck, and another Les Paul. If you have the holy grail of guitars, you are not gifting it to your friend. Eric Clapton gifted one. We have the Gary Moore, the holy grail guitar, the 59 burst. Greeny, right? Everybody calls it Greeny. He went to Peter Green. He gave it to Peter Green. He didn't sell it to him, as the story goes. Now, Kirk Hammett, he bid. He bid hard. He bid, some people say, for $2 million on that guitar. And he still has it, he still plays it, and he loves it. God bless him. But, Billy Gibbons has a couple of these 59s. I've seen Billy play twice. I have never seen Billy play the 59 live. Rick Nielsen has 5. I have seen Rick Nielsen play twice. I've never seen Rick Nielsen play a 59. I've seen Rick Nielsen play his checkerboard stuff. I've seen him play his Carina stuff. I've seen him play his massive quadruple or how many 5-neck guitar. I've never seen him play a 59 on stage. It's just the way it goes, So now you have to wonder. Now Bonamassa, he's the guy that validates everybody that goes out and buys a 59. People go out and they buy the 59, and it's the Emperor's New Clothes, and they play it, and they can't tell the difference. They're like, oh my God. And then they're looking at their Epiphone Les Paul going, and these things sound almost the same. Now, I'm not saying they sound the same, but they then take them to Bonamassa, and they say, well, you played this at a show, and Joe will validate them, and he'll go up there and play it. But Joe Bonamassa could probably play a Harley Benton just as well as that 59 burst. Now, Joe is also one of the 59 guys. So in the category of collector player, Joe is a crossover, Kirk Hammett is a crossover. These are guys that not only are they tools, but it's their hobby. They collect these guitars. And Rick Nielsen is a massive guitar collector. And, is it the Stradivarius of guitars? I did a video on this before. And I think we bite on a lot of the hype that's out there. I think with today's technology, they could rebuild that guitar, the 59, and put it out there. But then it would kill the market for the existing 59s. Now, once again, I just did the video about the embargo and how it ended on June 6, 1959. And that's when the Brits first were able to get their hands on American guitars without jumping through hoops and without smuggling them back into the country or paying customs charges or whatever they were doing back in 59. I wasn't born yet. But it's something to think about. Now, in the search for tone and the search for precision playing of the instrument and being able to play like no other, I want you to remember this, because every channel I see on YouTube that's guitar related, a lot of them want to give you a shortcut. There are no shortcuts. Master the basics. If you master the basics and you truly know your instrument, and I work with people all the time with the repair side of it, and I explain things to them on their guitar that they didn't know, features and benefits that were there in front of their face that they can make adjustments to make that guitar sound better. These are not take it off the shelf and one size fits all items. You know, the last guitar that I had in was a Les Paul Standard, and I had to point out that the neck pickup had the E and the A poles, adjustable pole pieces, were extended a little bit. And the guy bought the guitar used, and he looked at it and goes, man, I never noticed that. But these are the things. Those little screws in the face of the pickup on the pole pieces, they adjust. How many people out there have ever tried to adjust any of them? How many people have looked at their hands and said, oh, look, my index finger is longer than my ring finger, or my middle finger is almost as long as my ring finger. The ergonomics of the guitar that you're playing in your hand is going to have a lot to do with how you set a guitar up for you and how you make it personal for you. So anyway, this is Tom at Town Guitar Works. I hope you're enjoying this Memorial Day weekend, and I'll have another video on the shop coming out tomorrow probably, and an update on how soon we're looking in the building, and I will expose the companies that are involved. All right, so this is Tom saying have a great weekend, and remember, only half of my B's are any good. You have to figure out which half. Bye.